We took a break last week, it was Easter. We took some self-care for ourselves and our fam so we can relax. And now we're in the Aries moon and having an Aries in our presence. How does it make you feel?
You're welcome. I love saying that. I don't know. I actually didn't even know that it shifted. I did see something on my Twitter though, and that's how I found out before you mentioned it. So, I wanted to, I'm trying to think, I need to look at my whole chart and think about if I have Aries anywhere else. Cause I can't think right now. It's only in my big three. It's only my sun. My moon is Capricorn, but now I'm trying to think of does Aries come up anywhere else in my chart? Do you have Aries in your chart at all?
Yeah. It's my moon actually. So this is a...
Oh! So how did you feel? How did you feel? Did you feel connected in this morning or last night?
I wouldn't say so, but as I was reading more about the moon and all that, I was seeing how it's like the perfect time to start something new, pursuing your goals. So all that kind of energy, which is kind of fitting with today's episode, because as I'm trying new things and trying to spark this energy for myself outside of the moon, how I can stay grounded, because change, although I want to start new things, but change makes me anxious. So keeping myself grounded while doing these things that the moon is encouraging us to do.
That's real. Yeah. Today we get to talk about being grounded and, what keeps us grounded and what that means to us. Which is, like you said, very timely, very right on time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if you're a new listener, this is the Ari and Sid show. If you're an old listener, what's up? It's Ari right here.
And I'm Sid. We're forever friends, and this is the shit we care about.
On any given day, we're having conversations about meaningful shit, sometimes some not so meaningful shit. And so this is our show that we created to spread some awareness and learn from one another outside of our text threads and phone calls, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And private video calls. And FaceTime calls. So anyway, if you hear some shit that you agree with, you have some shit that you care about and you want to share with us, please stay connected. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, give us a rating, drop us a review. And if you're following us on social media, like you should be, tweet us, leave us a comment, share our things on Instagram, and share what's important to you as well.
Yeah, our subtitle is Forever Friends and Shit We Care About, if you haven't guessed. So that's why she mentions that, because we want to hear about the shit you care about too. It's only right that we give to you, but you give right back to us. So
right.
Let's get into some shit.
So, okay. So you talked about the new moon is encouraging new changes and for us to explore new things. And I'm sure it's calling out to you even more specifically because you're an Aries moon. And you mentioned making change or going through changes makes you anxious. So in thinking about that, and talking about how you need to stay grounded, let's just start with what does even being grounded mean to you? How would you describe a grounded person?
I think somebody that is grounded is someone that has healthy coping mechanisms to keep them leveled, and that doesn't mean it's an always constant thing where I know if I'm stressed, I'm going to do this and this, but something that they can always go back to cope with those imbalances that they might experience as things change or as, stress arises and falls. So that's my short answer. What about you?
I feel that. Yeah, I feel that. And I feel when I think grounded, I think of someone who's like able to like, you know, be present and be aware of like what's going on. I like picture, I mean, at first, you know, I picture a tree, but then when I'm thinking about people, like I picture someone like sticking their feet into like the sand. So maybe they're like on a beach and they like have their feet in the sand, right? So that like they're connected. And then I just started thinking like, dang, like back to like thinking about the tree. A tree is like very aware that they are a tree. Like a tree knows that it's always a tree. It's not trying to be anything else. So when thinking about grounded in that aspect, it's like kind of like focusing and remembering who you are and like being present in that.
Yeah, that's a lot deeper than I even thought about. I think it is something that's very important when it comes to, you know, seeing how similar we are to trees, you know, trees, not cheese, trees change with seasons, right? They break, they bend, um, they start from little tiny little seeds. You know what I mean? Like we are very similar to trees. I mean, we don't get as massive as some, but our energy could, you know, and our personality could. So I think one of my favorite meditation, I guess it's meditation slash mindfulness activities is when you like plant your feet on the ground and then like envision that your roots are growing from your feet. You know, I don't know if you've ever done one of those.
Yeah.
But it's like make sure your posture is like, you know, straight and aligned so that similar to a tree, you stand tall and, you know, those kinds of things. So I definitely can see how that is a strong, I mean, grounded trees are planted in the ground, you know, all those kinds of things. So I think that is a perfect analogy for that.
Yeah. Now I'm having all these like visions in my head about like the comparison between like people and trees, right? Like when you said like the whole like stand up straight so that you can like, you know, I was thinking about like trees like standing straight and like reaching towards the sun, right? Reaching towards that good energy, like reaching towards the warmth and the light or whatever. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a little analogy with like people, like, you know, you want to stand up straight and then like reaching for that good energy, that warmth. And sometimes that warmth and that good energy is your sisterhood and your people around you. And that's why that creates stuff like forever friends and the shit you care about. Boom.
That is true. That was a good, we came full circle. Our conversation is over now. No, I'm just kidding. That is perfect though. That is so true. I think, whatever you reach towards, you know, reach towards something that makes you feel good. And that can also be what keeps you grounded, right? You don't necessarily have to meditate and do yoga and color because, you know, that was a big trend a while, like a few years ago. I mean, it still might be, you know, adult coloring books, you know, how to get grounded and things like that. You don't have to necessarily have those strong, not even strong, but a routine of things to do. You could just be like, drawing yourself towards, you know, things that make you feel good, your friends, your family, going outside and getting that 20 minutes a day of sun. I mean, in Arizona, it's so interesting. Sorry, that's a whole tangent, but I was just going to say in Arizona, you know, we are one of the sunniest states, but yet going outside in the summertime is so hard because it's like a freaking oven. It's getting 20 minutes of sun doesn't feel like it's going to make me happier. It makes me feel like it's going to make me really freaking pissed off. Right. But yeah, so that was my little side tangent about the sun.
I feel that completely.
Do you think that rewind, it's Q1, right? Or Q1 is, I guess, officially over. Yeah. I always forget about like there's 4 quarters in a dollar. So that means there's 3 months to a quarter, you know, even though it's 4.
Right. Yeah. And then when I think quarters, I honestly think of like school-based quarters, like, you know, like, but a lot of schools that I've been in recently haven't even been using quarter systems. Right. So whatever. But yeah, Q1, first 3 months of the year they're over. They're done with. Here we go.
How are you feeling about it? How was your first quarter?
You know, I think first quarter was overall, it was good. I think I started out really well with like, using my planner. I think that was something that kept me grounded in the first quarter. And just kept me like something that I could keep coming back with, or coming back to, excuse me. So I think it went well. I met most of my goals, I want to say. Oh, also update. I did also purchase my guitar kit so I could fix my string. So it should be here soon. So I'm very excited about that too.
We've been waiting on it.
Yeah. I just be looking at my guitar like, dang. Okay. But it'll be here soon. She'll be all fixed up, or he. I don't really know who my guitar is yet. So we haven't spent enough time together. So, but anyway, yeah. So I think quarter one went well, but I did notice like towards the end, and it might have been because like my birthday is at the end of quarter one, like I slacked. I was like, not gonna do nothing on my birthday week, which is fine, but I didn't prepare for that. And so like as much as I like enjoyed celebrating my birthday and like I was glad that I took that time, I was also kind of anxious. Like the business person in me was anxious because like I didn't prepare for that, and it showed in like on my like engagement and things like online. It showed, and so that is one thing that I want to do better for this next quarter, and so that's what I'm thinking about. Like, okay, back to like grounding, right? Getting myself prepared. The last week of March. Well, not the last week of March, last day of March, I used it to kind of plan out April through June, April, May, June. Yeah, April through June. And so I'm hoping that I can like stay focused in that.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you feel like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think you deserve a little, don't beat yourself up too hard about slacking off. I think it comes and goes, you always make up for it. And, and honestly, like when you think about businesses that do find themselves having hard quarters, they usually make up for it at the end of the year. So, I mean, not that you want to wait that long, but
yeah,
you got it. My quarter.
I appreciate that.
Good. I'm glad you do. My quarter was, I did buy a planner. Did I use it? Sort of. It's really nice. It's nice to look at and hold because it's leather, but I really bought it because when I was first starting grad school, I was like all over the place. And like the first week of school, I was, stressing out about getting my assignments in. And so I finished 2 classes by March and I started a new one in March. And then, so now I'm only in 1 and it feels like it's never going to end. No, I'm just kidding. I do like the class, but it's just kind of, it's kind of draining as far as mental work. But anyways, I feel like I was grounded in a sense of like just living in contentment and, reminding myself that like, and this is meant to be in a positive light, but it's just like nothing really matters. You know what I mean? Nothing is really that important. Nothing is really that, urgent. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like allowing things to just like go. I'm not going to sit here and stress over homework if I don't care about the class, you know what I'm saying? Then it'll show. And it's if I get a B, because that's really at this point, no, that's not what I'm going to get. I'm going to get an A. But I was stressing out about, I want all A's and blah, blah, blah. And so it's just like, it doesn't matter. So that's kind of what has been my thing to come back to over the last quarter. Because I
like that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think also it's because coming on a year of working at home and not really having physical events because my job, is an event presenter. So it was kind of like something that made me realize like this, it's not really that, comparing it to a year, 6 months, it doesn't matter how long it's been, right? Like I want to be happy with my job, right? In some way, shape, or form. And so just reminding myself that regardless of how much time has passed in this current state that we are all living in, either I'm going to be happy in my job or I'm not. So like the time doesn't matter. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be free of like all these constraints that I've been, telling myself that are important.
I fuck with that so heavy because, when you talked about like, you mentioned like, I'm just going to go in with the flow. Like, if I do, the effort will show, right? I think that's how I was like that last week in March. Like me trying to be grounded and present was like, if you really don't feel like working this week, like you don't really have to.
Right.
Like this is the perfect week not to, right? And reminding myself that like you owe it to yourself to like pay attention to your body and your mind. And like, if your body and your mind really don't want to do that, you're probably going to waste time and procrastinate anyway. So you're not even going to get as much work done as you would if you were like in the mood actually. So I definitely agree with that. Like really focusing in on like, at the end of the day, like the question is like, do I want to do this? Like, am I going to be able to be my full present self in this? And if not, then like, I don't want to do that. And not to say I'm not going to come back and do it again another day. But right now, no.
I know. I've been like,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've just been like, trying to look, I'm like looking at my calendar, like, I'm gonna take a day off. And then like, freaking I can't, I don't have any time to take a day off. And then like realizing like, this shit doesn't matter. I mean, not saying that my job isn't important, right? It's an important part, but it's just like, somebody else can do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I was gonna say. What were you gonna ask?
With the things that you've, so like just focusing on maybe like the first quarter, right? January through March, with the things that you've maybe started in January or like had been continuously and like focusing on in this first quarter, do you feel like rooted in those things? Do you feel like those are things that like have sprouted roots and like you are going to continue this path of like growing in those areas or growing in that experience? Or do you feel like there are some things in the first quarter where you kind of just like, we're just experiences that started and ended there? If that makes sense.
I think that if I was completely honest, I'm probably not super rooted in the things. I think one of the things that I want to do better is writing more. Like specifically these last 2 sessions, right? So from January to now, I've been in like 2 of the classes I've taken are writing classes. So I've been prompted to write more. And while I don't necessarily like, I'm not severely drawn to the class that I'm in right now, it's travel writing, and like I can't travel, so it's all memory work. And that's been one of the things that I found to be the most challenging, only because like I feel like I'm long-winded when writing about memory because I don't know how much is too much or how like little is too little, trying to be as descriptive and concrete at the same time. So I feel like writing will be something that will always ground me and something I'll always find myself rooted in, but in the same capacity, probably not. Because I'm probably not, I'm expecting myself to apply to this other program or fully commit to a program. And so writing won't be as heavily required as far as like in a creative sense. So it's something that I want to put a heavier practice in outside of doing classwork. Because I write at least once a week, right? Sometimes twice for my class, which is great because it's creative, but so moving forward, moving into the more technical classes for my degree, I'll probably have to create a better system for writing creatively.
That makes sense.
What about you?
Though. I think, what was I really doing? I just be doing the same shit. Like mom life, I'm heavily rooted in that shit. Can't really dig up those roots, y'all. That is planted. But as far as like the work that I'm doing in like in the birth field and like in social work, I definitely feel like I'm rooted. Like I got a lot of opportunity in March to just speak with like social work students and like just talk about like birth work and talk about social work and where they like, you know, where they collide and talk about them separately and like talk to future social work professionals about like where they can take their career and things like that. So it's exciting. It's actually helped me kind of like dig my feet in a little bit more and like push towards like, yeah, like I've, you know, I talked about, I've told people like I want to like, you know, I would be open to accepting like an associate professor, like an adjunct professor role. Like I think that'd be really dope where I could
Yeah.
like teach about like, you know, social work and perinatal health or something like that, like
Yeah.
whatever. And so I feel like the stuff that I was doing this last month has really started maybe like planted some seeds to where I can, you know, grow some roots to for further that. So I do feel rooted. Last summer, you know, last summer I took like I was in every fucking training, like so many random birth trainings last summer. And like I really had to take a step back and remember like I don't have to know everything. I just need to know about the stuff that I really want to do. Right. And so I'm
Yeah.
really taking more time to like focus and hone in on like, okay, what is going to be, where is going to in birth work, right? Specifically, what are the things that I want to focus on? Like I know I like birth work in labor, specifically with like people that are pregnant already. You know, I don't really see myself wanting to do a lot of fertility work. And I do like postpartum work, but I really more so like that childbirth education, pregnancy, labor,
Yeah.
birth education, that space, right? Um, but I'm also like, you know, taking an herbalism course and seeing how like as much as I might not want to do postpartum support, I also like tea and I'm learning how to make like different, you know, mixtures of herbs and teas and things like that. And so maybe I don't
Yeah.
have, you know, postpartum services, but I'll have like some like product or some, you know, something I can offer to maybe just the clients that I work with, but really figuring out like where I'm going to focus and trying to plant roots in that space, like baby wearing. Like I really like baby wearing. And so like I need to, you know, kind of shout that from the mountaintops a little bit more instead of trying to spread myself all across the whole world.
Yeah, which it's kind of cool to hear you say that because, I mean, not to put you out there, but I remember there was a time where you were invited to come and speak at a conference and you didn't go because you were anxious.
Oh my God.
And so, like, to hear you saying, like, yeah, you know, you're feeling grounded in it, it's like, you know, once again, you've come full circle and found that whatever was going on, not even found, but you probably didn't even realize like you were combating whatever was holding you back at that time. And now you're actually, you know, doing the shit that was limiting you before. So that's amazing.
Dang, I forgot. I almost forgot about that. And that is very true. I definitely did. It was like, I will throw up. I cannot go. I will throw up on everybody. You not want me
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
It's really awesome now. So I
and then
think
look at
that,
me now. I'll be speaking at a virtual conference, but a conference next month. Boom.
yeah, virtual. I was just telling somebody the other day, let me tell you, virtual or not virtual, you know, if somebody's watching that shit, it's equally as impactful, you know, because this virtual life is hard, man. These events, I I I know so many. Not no, I don't know so many, but like I've put on or been involved with over 100 virtual events, right? So like
Oh my
I
God.
know it's crazy, and so all the things that I've learned is basically like if one person gets to that shit, then hey, like that's you really can't. There's not a lot you can do. So, you know, if you get up there and you're talking in front of 20 people, shit, 20 people in a virtual event, girl, that's not even a low barrier. That shit is like, I want at least 20 people, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
if not 20, then at least one, you know what I mean? So don't discredit that because virtual events are, you know, important and they're accessible to people. So,
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah.
but going back over to our topic, what kind of things keep you grounded?
So That's a very good question. And I would say, like, I'm not going to even say the typical things. I did mention my planner earlier, and my planner does keep me grounded when I actually use it. And I'll notice that, like, when I start to get kind of like anxious, or when I notice that like I need to rest, I will
Mhm.
I will lose track of my planner, and then that'll cause more anxiety, and then I'll realize that, like, oh, it's probably because you don't need to be doing shit anyway. Like, you need to probably just be cooling
Yeah.
out. So like my planner keeps me very grounded. And I think also just paying attention to those signs from like my body. Like, like you really
Mhm.
can't force yourself to do anything you don't want to do. And a lot of times when we find ourselves like angry or frustrated or like lashing out on other people sometimes too, it's literally because we're going against what our brain or like what we deep down want or need. And a lot of the times, especially for working people, especially for working people that are parents, especially for millennial people, especially for anyone that lives in the United States, especially if you're a Black person that lives in, you know what I'm saying, like all
Right.
these different layers, like it's important. Like I can't even explain. I don't know. I don't know. It's just it's a I don't know, man. They're I think my planner is helpful for the grounding. Um I think what else? I
I
think
mean, drink water. That's
that's
something.
true.
Which
Yeah.
isn't necessarily like going back to what I was saying, it's not like necessarily a traditional like, oh, but drinking water is going again back to your um comment about paying attention to your body. Like drinking water is
Yeah.
something that like
You know,
we can't live without.
true. And another good one that I actually don't even give myself credit for, but like I clearly do it because I encourage my clients to do it and I practice it with them is like deep breathing. I've been doing that a lot. Like
Mm,
focusing on my breathing, even like when I work out now, right? Like I'm notorious for holding my breath. Like I'll hold my breath when I walk down the street. I don't fucking know why. And so like I've been really, really more trying to be like more present in my body and present in my workouts because I also want to start to like, focus on like the muscle that I'm working out. So breathing definitely like grounds me back and like keeps me present and kind of like brings me back to life.
yeah.
I know you mentioned like writing is helpful for you and that keeps you grounded. But what else? Do your crafts keep you grounded? I wanted to ask that. Like the macrame that you do, your
Mm,
poetry, your art, like is that like a grounding technique? Would you consider that a grounding technique?
um, it's so crazy because maybe it is, but sometimes some of the things that I do are so second nature that it's just like I'm just doing it, you know? What I should do more of is like pay attention to how I'm feeling when I'm doing certain things because, you know, I just like the most recent piece I worked on was a commission. So it was kind of like work.
Mm.
I'm gonna get paid for it. But like I feel like one of the things that I don't do enough of that I really enjoy doing is taking a walk. And maybe that's
Mm.
more so now than like it's really ever been. But walking around the block or the park, um, sitting outside. I used to do it back when we were first here in working from home, but I would wake up early and go and sit on our little patio for a little bit and like check my email. So I would start my day there.
I love sitting outside.
I just I don't know. I think I'm a little, you know what it is? I'm just gonna say it out loud. I was just watching this Instagram uh with Dr. Thema and Alex L. They were doing
Mhm.
an Instagram live yesterday and they were talking about naming your needs. And I think one of the things that I'm like struggling with right now is like the fact that I'm probably burnt out, but it's just like not one of those being overworked is like that's just what I do. You know what I'm saying? I'm always doing
Mhm.
something. I'm always either in school or work or, I've never had a job where I worked normal hours. Not normal
Mhm.
hours, but like I never had a real 9 to 5. My job that I have now is as close as it gets. And even like some weeks I don't work nine to
Right,
five,
yeah.
especially during over the pandemic, when we have virtual events, I'm working until sometimes 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Um,
Mhm.
so I think part of why I'm not really at this point able to identify like the true grounding techniques is because I haven't been doing them, and it's because I'm just on autopilot. And
Same. Yeah.
so,
One thing that I do want to do, so going back, earlier in our conversation, we were like using the tree analogy, right? Like, reaching out to the sun and warmth and things like that. But trees also have roots, right? That go deep. And so like, I think one of the things that it's April, y'all, and this sounds really bad. I really wanted to get like our like ancestral altar together to like where we have like our pictures of all of like our like ancestors and our elders that have passed away, because I feel like part of being grounded is also like connecting back with like your ancestors and your elders, and
mm,
having that also, that being part of the tree, right? You reach up to the warmth and the light, and you also reach down to like the wisdom and like the past and things like that. So I also feel like that's definitely something that's missing in like my grounding practice, or like in just being grounded
mm,
myself. Like I do find myself it's so funny because me and my cousin were talking about this recently. I do find myself like connecting with like my ancestors when I can, like, like calling to them and like just taking some time to like connect with them and say them by name and things like that. But I don't have a space for them in my house. And like, I want that, like, you're welcome here, like you can be here. And so, I need to just make a better effort to get that together. And the biggest excuse is like, oh, well, I haven't been sent the pictures yet. Like, I need my parents have pictures, and then most parents have pictures, but I need to get on that. And I feel like that maybe that's what I need to get done before Q2 is over. And that'll be something that can catapult me through the rest of the year.
yeah. It's interesting because I know that is something that you've mentioned before, and I know other people do that, but like I don't think I'm at a place to where I think I find myself thinking about the people that have passed away, in like not necessarily sad, right? But like in a sense of like missing them. And so
Mhm.
I don't know if that would ground me. So I find it interesting. I know, and everybody's different, right? But
Yeah.
maybe the ones that I don't know or I didn't know, not that I don't miss them, but like like the connection is truly only blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never met my grandma besides like only thing I can I not identify. I know what she looks like because I've seen pictures, but one thing that I've always like known is like the picture on her casket was like her holding me because I was like maybe 6 weeks old when she passed away.
Mhm.
And then my dad's grandma, I knew, or my dad's mom, I knew her. I knew her, but like not in. I don't know. It was interesting. We went over there and hung out with her when my dad would. Um, but like I don't remember calling her grandma. Like I don't know. It was just weird. I don't know. My family is just weird, I guess. And I never met my dad's dad. So like other than my grandpa, that's the only
Mhm.
person I had on my mom's side a real relationship with. So I find it hard to make connections with people that, and I know like everybody, you pay homage to
Mhm.
everybody that came before you and all those kind of things, which, I wouldn't be here without all the steps and stones that were turned over for me. And maybe I should look at it like that. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
I just wanted to
I
mention it.
think I think also it can be a chance to look at it as like, you didn't get to know them while they were here, but maybe this is a chance to know them now, right? Like thinking about the people on my altar. And I also agree with like some of these people it's like maybe the thought is like it's kind of fresh, like to be putting you here and like seeing you every day and like being able to like, look at this without, bringing up some like emotions. I definitely feel that, like my uncle, my grandpa. Yeah. But like my great grandmother, my grandpa, like my dad's dad, I never, my dad was 3 when he passed away.
Mm,
His mom, people that I haven't met, actually, that's who I want on the altar because I'm like, I don't have
mm,
no other connection with you. Like, so I need to be able to like bring you into my home and like, us connect somehow and like me learn about you through like putting together like the stories that I've heard, you know what I'm saying? And whatever I learn through like the oral histories and like whatever my family passes down, to also like trying to connect with that energy and really trying to learn them myself because like, yeah, like no one really knows my grandpa because he was my dad was so young when he was born, you know, but like I feel like that I'm at this point where like that it's even more important for me to have you around too, because like, and I think it might even be just, you know, learning more about birth work and things that's making me think about this, especially when thinking about the ancestral history of birth work, because like a lot that is passed down through our families, and in particular in like, you know, Black culture is through, and you know, a lot of indigenous culture is through oral history, right? It's through oral trade, it's through hearing and speaking and sharing these stories. And like there's a gap where, you know, there's a few generations, or you know, people in generations that don't like to share those stories, and like that makes it harder for the continuous generations to stay connected and to know who they're from, and like, you know, what people they come from and who they come from and what that means. And so I'm trying my damnedest at this point to like try to like reconnect that and like hold on, and then like to, you know, break that cycle. And like moving forward, we're going to talk about people, like we're going to talk about my parents, like shit, like Mina and her kids and their kids are going to know, you know, about like our parents and stuff. So I do think I say all that to say, like, for me right now, one of the techniques or something that I want to add to like my grounding practices is definitely connecting back to the roots of who I am and my family and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think it's, I know, so I've heard about people from not my grandpa, sorry, excuse me, my uncle. So my dad's brother, I probably see him the most out of all of my dad's side. So, and he just named so many people. I'm like, I need to start writing this shit down because I had no idea. I'm like, oh yeah. You told me about that. I'm like, I don't remember shit. But yeah, I definitely think that maybe that is, I'll adapt that. Not necessarily in a sense of like, I don't have any space for anything at this point. But when I move somewhere, you know, I definitely want to put up pictures of people. So I'll adapt that. And I think one of the other things I want to do is to like helpful connected, not necessarily helpful connected, but I do want to see like maybe my mom had sent me like a picture of somebody, and like she went on ancestry.com and like found some picture of somebody. I think it was my grandma's mom. So like diving a little bit deeper on like online databases and things, to get beyond like, I literally only know one other generation. I don't know anybody beyond, you know, my grandparents. So, but I think another grounding technique that I do, but I don't really do consistently, which is, it's so funny that we were talking about, not so funny. We were talking about this episode yesterday. So of course we were talking about it yesterday, but I didn't actually say it. I got sidetracked. So one of the things that I do is I'll go on Spotify, and I was telling you about healing frequencies, right? And how like there are certain songs, like specifically the one song that has been like proven to be the most effective when it comes down to lowering anxiety levels is a song called Weightless. And if you just Google Weightless, you like not weightless, like you're on a wait list, but like weightless, like you. Anyways, okay.
We'll link it.
Right. So, but there is a Spotify playlist called Healing Frequencies. And so usually before I write for class, I'll listen for like 5 to 10 minutes to different songs on that playlist just to help like, I guess, ground me and like get my thoughts in order and like have like an even keel. So I don't do that as often as I would like to, but I do it at least maybe once a week. So I guess it's something. So that's a cool playlist that I do. And then also I do listen to like mostly when I'm working. So maybe maybe I am thinking about all these things that I do. And like I said before, I'm on autopilot sometimes. So it doesn't feel like it's grounding, but I'll put on another Spotify playlist. And not that this is like, we're not sponsored, but and I don't pay for the premium version. So you can listen to these without with ads, just like me. Anyways, it's called like soft instrumentals. And so it's like kind of reminds me of like yoga music. Okay. So and And it's just like another one. I don't want to listen to instrumentals of songs I know, because then I'll sit here and like sing the songs with it. You know what I mean? Or upbeat songs, like they don't really get me productive. So like the slower, because my mind is like always racing, listening to slower music is what helps me. And then lastly, I will say, which I know it's like there's a stigma with it, but like sometimes honestly, what grounds me is like rewatching shows that I love. So like right now we're rewatching Modern Family,
Oh, you love
and
that shit.
I
You
fucking
love
love
that
this
show so
show.
much.
So it's so funny because Kendall doesn't usually like the shows that I watch, and so I started it over, and he's like been watching it with me, and he's like, "Oh, let's watch Modern Family," and I was like, "Yeah, this is a good ass show. You know, give it some credit."
Yep. I just got Mo hooked on This Is Us. I'm like, oh, now you want to watch
I don't
it?
know if I could. I heard there's too much crying for that shit, and you know,
That's what Bobby said.
I can't handle it. I don't want to sit there and bawl my eyes out every freaking day or week. You know,
Right. But to your point, so you just reminded me of something. You were talking about the frequencies or whatever. Something that I forgot. Whenever I have like a Zoom meeting or like a consultation with, or like a meeting with my clients. Wow, I'm losing all my words. There's a YouTube playlist called Meditation and Healing, and I always I'll just open my phone, and because I like use it all the time, it's always right there on the top, and it's just different videos, and like this one is like 7 chakra boost and align, positive energy, release inner conflict, remove unwanted energy, like things like that. And like some will be like to boost your mood, and I'll just click that, and then I'll turn it really, really low. So like I can like barely hear it. I doubt anyone else on the other side can hear it, but it's still playing for everyone. So even if you don't know you can hear it, it's still in the room. I even forgot that I did that. So I don't do it on our calls. I think I did it when we first started our pod because that was one of my like, you know, my routine. I had to like light the candle and then turn this on and then have my hot cup and my cold cup.
Yeah.
Better. I don't have to do all those things now, but I definitely want to check out that Healing Frequencies playlist on Spotify. So I am going to do that.
And fun fact, because I'm full of those, but if you fuck with Jhené Aiko, her last album had a bunch of healing frequencies throughout it. Like literally, if you like Magic Hour, I could name, there's so many. So they have it throughout it. So if you're in a good mood after listening to her, it's intentional, right? So if you don't want to listen to just, you know, like song bowls, is that what they're called? The thing. So if you don't want to listen to a bunch of those sounds, it's okay. There are other types of music that does it. And my favorite one by Jhené Aiko that has healing frequencies in it is Trigger Protection, which isn't on an album. It was just like a single song. So at one point I was listening to that shit like every morning, because it's like, it says like I am protected, and like it has the sounds in it, and then like she sings a little bit, but it's not like a full song. It's like a mixture. So if you fuck with her, I highly recommend you check out her album and that song, because they'll get you right.
I'm about to make me like a morning like energy playlist. It's gonna be bomb.
I'll share. It's so crazy, all these things that I did do. I have one too. I'll share it with you on my Apple Music if you still have that.
Nah, girl, we don't use Apple Music over here. It's Spotify or Tidal Gang, and that is not an advertisement, y'all. Okay. All right, I want to talk about some awareness or some causes that we can shine some light on this week before we let the beautiful folks go. You know, right on time with talking about grounding. Our April theme is all about wellness. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the episode, but we'll talk about wellness and a few different topics that have to do with that, chakra healing and all these other beautiful things throughout the month. So be on the lookout for that. And because we did skip an episode last week, the theme of wellness will flow into the first week of May. So
yes,
fun stuff still all to come. But I say all that to say that April is also National Stress Awareness Month. So, you know, figure out what it is that helps you de-stress. And if you have not taken PTO this year, this is your calling card. This is your sign to take PTO this month because it's Stress Awareness Month. And we know that working during a pandemic is stressful no matter what field you work in. So be sure to take some time for yourselves, my folks. And of course, because I'm a birthy person, the other cause we want to raise awareness for this week is Black Maternal Health Week. Ba-da-bum, woo-woo. It is the 4th annual Black Maternal Health Week by Black Mothers Matter Alliance. And so it's been a lot of events going on so far. We know that in the United States, Black women and Black birthing people are 4 to 6 more times likely to die from childbirth related complications. And that's, and 60% of them are preventable. And, that includes during pregnancy and includes that whole year up to the whole first year in postpartum, right? Like, I think sometimes when we think about birth and pregnancy, we think that after the baby is here, then, the work is all done and everything's all good. But there are a lot of things that can still happen in that first year. And specifically when we're talking about, postpartum mood and anxiety disorders. So, we really need to shine some more light on that. So, if you love Black mamas, know Black mamas, are Black mama, have Black mamas in your community, lift them up a little bit more this year or this week, and this year and the year and next year and every year to come. But specifically this week. And there are a ton of events going on this week for you to learn more about how you can help or what you can do. So check out Black Mamas Matter Alliance. They have a website and they have an Instagram. They're on Twitter as well. They're all over the place. And then of course the National Black Doula Association is also having some events this week. So, and the conference is this weekend. So it is a virtual conference. If you're interested in that, I would go to the Black Mama Matters Alliance website and check out the tickets.
Yeah.
If there's still some available.
All of this great information will be listed in our show notes. So if you did not remember all of that, have no fear. You can read it after you listen to this episode. And of course, there are always other awarenesses over every month. But this episode, since it goes well with grounding, we're going to identify those two. So don't think we are discrediting anything else because everyone else's awarenesses are just as important. Anyways. Absolutely. Our last thing, but not least, is a quote that we would like to leave you with. And this quote says, "Be like a tree, stay grounded, connect with your roots, turn over a new leaf, bend before you break, enjoy your unique natural beauty, and keep growing." And this is by Joanne Rapid.
I like that. I feel like we said a lot of those words throughout our conversation.
Yeah. They go and go. So it's perfect. I think maybe part of it, we read this quote yesterday and maybe it branched over into today, no pun intended, but it branched over into today and we didn't even know. So it definitely was something that sat with us. So we hope it sits with you throughout this week and helps you feel more grounded.
Absolutely. So if you are still here, you've just listened to episode 9 of season 2 of the Ari and Sid Show, Forever Friends and the Shit We Care About. As always, leave us a like, comment, share, subscribe, or a rating.